Hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm Aaron and I've done this little video to talk to you about how I prepared for my first through hike, which was the Cambrian Way. The Cambrian Way is a 298-mile through hike where you go from Cardiff in the south to Conway in the north. You go through the 4 mountain ranges of Wales. That's the Brecon Beacons, the Black Mountains, the Cambrian Mountains, and Snowdonia. Not quite in that order. It's Black Mountains, Brecon Beacons, Cambrian Mountains, and Snowdonia. That's the order. And of course, you can do it in reverse. But I went from Cardiff up to Conway. Now, I've got some notes, and please, I'll refer to them now. I should start by explaining how the idea came about. So I'm quite an adventurous person, but I'd never done a multi-day hike. I'd done 2 days. I think Sal and I, we've done 2 days, but that would be a little hike, camp out, and then hike the next day, and then back to a hotel. Never done more than that. Now, the idea came about because I was working really hard and then learning inside of work, but I realized I hadn't really learned anything outside of work, improved my personal skill set for a long time. So I was looking for a holiday. Now, I'd been on many adventure holidays over the last 5-6 years, and by adventure holidays I mean signing up to guided holidays. Met some great people, had a great time. So I was looking for something to do that's going to challenge me, and hopefully I could learn some stuff. I then came across some YouTube videos of the Cambrian Way by a guy called Snowy Matrix, and watched a couple of the videos, not all because he'd broken down in the different stages, and I was hooked. I did a little bit more research on the internet, and after 30 minutes, that was it, decision made. So I then had to go and talk to my boss and ask for a month off. I did it in 21 days, 3 weeks, but I did end up taking a month off. But that's kind of how, that's where the idea came from for me. And I wanted to do something challenging, and it was. It definitely was. So I bought the Cicerone Guidebook. Cicerone Guidebook breaks the Cambrian Way down into 21 stages or 21 days. The Cicerone Guidebook is a good book, in my opinion, because it gives you, if you've never done anything like this before, it gives you clear guidance about the contour, the elevation, sorry. It literally gives you a little picture of every stage, and it shows you the elevation and the names of the mountains and peaks that you're going to go over. So I found that useful. It gives you a description of the route that you're going to take for each day. So some people could follow it. I couldn't follow the route, but that's by the by. It's still in there. It's good, decent description. It also gives you a 50,000 to 1 map of the route or the stage that you're doing that day. Now, if you know how to read and navigate using maps, then that's a good thing. I didn't know how to navigate at that time. So in preparation for the Cambrian Way, I signed myself up to do a navigation course. I did a half-day navigation course. The course content was great. The lady that was doing the course, she was also great, excellent teacher. The thing was, is I completely wasted my money and time doing that course because I didn't practice. In preparation for the Cambrian Way, I went and downloaded the Ordnance Survey app. I already had the All Trails app. I paid for the premium versions of both of those. Don't ask me why I wanted to, trying to probably think about redundancy, but I went and got the GPX tracks, and I was just using GPX tracks. You can Google Cambrian Way GPX tracks and you'll find them, and you'll be able to put them in your phone, and you can follow that. And that's what I did. I followed the GPX tracks. I then had to consider the food that I was going to take. I'm not somebody who likes to be hungry. So I ended up taking 4 or 5 kilos and carrying 4 to 5 kilos of food about 3/4 of the way. I looked at what sort of food I was going to take, so I bought the powdered pouch food, also bought wet pouch food that you heat up. Now, what I'd suggest is that you go and do some research about what you want. You're going to have to buy some different brands of those pouch foods. The powder food just doesn't work for me. I don't find it tasty, and it doesn't do my stomach any good. I need a lot of toilet paper, if you know what I mean. The wet pouched food, I tried a few different brands, yeah, that works a lot better, but I just carried too much of it. The reason I carried too much of it is you go through a lot of towns and villages. I think in the middle of the Cambrian mountains there was a day where you'd struggle to get some food, but pretty much you could buy food in shops, garages, supermarkets in all the towns and villages that you go through. Equipment and tent. So we have a couple of tents, but none really suitable. I bought a Nordisk Harland Lightweight 2. Bit expensive, at 700 quid when I bought it, but I love my tent. It's fantastic. I took it through the Cambrian Way. I've taken it to the Lake District, the Yorkshire Dales, Scotland, the mountains in Scotland. The Lake District, it got absolutely battered and held up to the weather. When I first got the tent, I opened it, pitched it in the back garden, and it's a thin tent. It's a true 2-man tent, so you got decent size. It's a tunnel tent, but it's also got a genuine packed weight of 1.5 kilos. So it's a large tent for one person and a very lightweight, and I found it to be very robust. Now, of course, every tent has limitations, and it's not a 4-season tent, but that's the one I got. My sleeping kit, I got myself a Vango 400 sleeping bag. I sleep cold, and even though I was doing this in the summer, when I was hot, I was literally just unzipping the bag and using it as a quilt. For a sleeping pad, I bought myself the Cicerone Ether Light. The mistake I made by buying that was buying the mummy version. I should have bought the larger version. I found it to be warm. It's also a fantastic sleeping pad. It's fantastic because I used it through the Cambrian Way. My stepson has used it a lot and he completely abuses it, and it's still going strong. I found it to be comfortable just buying the mummy version, and I bought the mummy version to reduce the weight so that it was a little bit as gram counting. I don't gram count like that anymore. I buy lightweight gear, but my sleeping pads I use now are all large, and I find them to be much more comfortable. So in preparation, I went as light as I could, bought a mummy, but as much as that sleeping pad is fantastic, it wasn't the ideal sleeping pad for me. Got myself a waterproof jacket, spending what felt like an absolute fortune on a tent, sleeping bag, sleeping pad. I really didn't want to spend a small fortune again on a jacket, but it cost me another £200 on a Rab firewall jacket. That was the skin I used for waterproof. I still got the jacket and it's still going strong, and it's an excellent jacket. I didn't want to spend more than 200 quid, but that's what I spent. I got myself a Jetboil to heat up my food. It seemed a really simplistic piece of kit. It is a simplistic piece of kit. Word to the wise, the igniter is not very robust. The Jetboil, I've not changed it. I haven't changed to a different cooking kit or cooking system. I just carry a lighter so that I can ignite it everywhere. Definitely take a lighter with you on the Cambrian way in case that pops, even if you buy a new one. Clothes. So for clothes, I had walking trousers. I only took one pair of walking trousers, but I took 2 pairs of boxer shorts, 2 t-shirts, 2 socks, and I had 1 jumper, and I alternated the t-shirt, socks and pants. I was very fortunate in that I had a support crew. Sal, she was my support crew. She joined me on the 2 weekends, and she actually brought some fresh socks, pants for me. So during the week, I was alternating them each day, and at the weekend, I was lucky because I got a fresh set. What did I wear on my feet? Well, I had a trusty pair of walking boots. I had a pair of Solomon boots. But again, I was listening to people saying, get your weight down. That's really important. Getting the weight down is important, but comfort, I think, is probably even more important. So I looked at, well, I didn't just look at, I actually bought a pair of walking shoes, which are lighter than boots, and also bought some trail shoes. I didn't like the fact that with the trail shoes that you could easily get wet feet. I didn't like the fact that the walking shoes, they shredded my feet when I was on the heels. So absolutely great for where I live in the New Forest. They're fantastic. But on the hills, they shredded my heels. So I went back to my trusty Solomon walking boots, and they served me really well, and they're still going. A medical kit. I had a simple medical kit, paracetamols, ibuprofen, plasters, kinesiology tape. The kinesiology tape is fantastic for instead of using plasters for blisters. So that was really useful. Nail clippers, and for safety, what I did, and for safety, what I'm talking about is satellite communication. At the time, I had an iPhone Mini 12, and I really didn't want to have that iPhone Mini 12. I'd had it for about 2.5 years, didn't like it, and then saw that the latest iPhone at the time had satellite communication. If it can't get a phone signal, it goes and looks for a satellite signal, and so that was my excuse. Binned the iPhone 12 mini and got myself a new iPhone with satellite communication. One of the things I wish I did was get fitter, but what I did to get fit, as I say, I live down on the south coast by the New Forest. What I did was 3 to 4 times a week, I was going out for a 10 to 20 mile walk, and I put 15 kilos of weight in my backpack, knowing I'm going to be carrying around 10 kilos every day. That was fine. Yeah, that was hard at first when you're unfit and you're trying to build your fitness up with 15 kilos on your back. But that wasn't enough. I should have been doing running as well in between. But that's what I did to prepare. Had 15 kilos in my bag. I was doing 3 to 4 walks every week for a good 3 months. And yeah, it got to a point where 15 kilos in my bag, 20 miles was tiring, but doable. I decided to do some of the routes. And when I say do some of the routes, I did a few days where I did half of the route. So I literally looked at the Cicerone Guidebook. I went from Dinas Mawdrey to Wan Ur. So that's basically halfway, and then went back to Dinas Mawdrey. Parked up the car, walked halfway, came back. I did Barmouth to Diffus, Diffris. So again, parked up in Barmouth, walked halfway and walked back to the car. I did a 2-day trek on the route, following the route with my brother-in-law. So we went from Abergavenny to Crickhowell. We camped at the reservoir by Capellifin. So basically we did 2 stages in 2 days. Now, going back to the navigation, I really screwed up. So I was following the GPX routes on my phone, guiding my brother-in-law. Basically, he'd never done anything like this before. He was talking about joining me on the Cambrian Way. So I said, well, look, I'm doing some training. Why don't you come out, see if it's actually for you? He never even wild camped before. Anyway, first day, Abergavenny to Capellifin, goes nice and smooth. We camp up. The next morning, I show my inability to read maps. So we looked at rejoining the route, but I decided that it will be easier and quicker if we went in a straight line instead of going around. So what I did was look at the map. I did not understand contours. Now, in the navigation course I did, the lady that was teaching us was constantly reminding us contours never lie. And what I learned is contours do not lie. If you learn how to read contours, they will explain to you how steep the hill or mountain is. And I made the mistake of leading us in a straight-ish line, but it was horrifically hard. No paths going down, up the mountains in the Black Mountains. We did make it to Crickhowell, but my brother-in-law, he's a bit older than me, he was broken. We managed to get Crickhowell, and I can't remember the name of the pub, the first pub we got to, extremely welcoming locals, and we had a good chat to the guys in there, and we called our wives' partners, and they came and collected us. The other thing to be careful of is sometimes paths on the maps change. They don't exist. Sometimes I thought we were on a path and it wasn't there. Long and short of that is follow the GPX tracks or learn how to navigate. So that's how I prepared for the Cambrian Way. Hopefully you find that useful, and good luck if it's your first through hike.